Hey everybody, welcome back to the Daddy Knows Best channel, helping you be a successful, happy man out there. Our video today, the topic of the day is, should you be dating foreign women? What are the pros? What are the cons? What are the benefits? And what are the risks? What are some of the dangers? And what a lot of you men out here, especially in the United States, suffer under the foot of feminism. A lot of these men out here still defend feminism. If you even talk about your tears or your experiences or the negatives, a lot of men will quickly defend feminist women and still make it out that you're the bad man in any situation, even if you were an angel of a man, the purest of heart, and you can't even wanted to sacrifice for women like I was. I was one of these gentle, well-spoken, kind men who was willing to serve himself up on a golden platter or a silver platter to women, and I was still walked on and still disrespected. Yes, I was raised religiously, and there were some shy women who, these feminist types would say, who are quote-unquote submissive, but they still were not very kind. They still were not willing to work and help with you. And I mean, I have some stories. I'll be making some videos about crazy stories. Like, one tried to play this game on and off, hot and cold, and then wanted to talk about making her own business, but essentially wanted me to make a business for her. And then of course they can divorce you and get and then she could have divorced me and got half of everything I owned and ran off with a successful business that I had built for her. You'd be amazed at the things that you men go through, and the things that the risks that you go through. But again, this is a video about foreign women here. Let's talk about foreign women and the pros and the cons of them. So first off, let's go to this article here from International Love Scout. They say the first point they have to make is you get to learn about other cultures. Now, I do think this is a good point. If you're going to travel to other countries, I think it's important that you're curious, that you're ready to learn about different cultures and different lifestyles and history. And don't be one of these women who I've talked to them who have traveled around the world, and I asked them, I'm like, oh, so what museums did you go to, or what paintings did you see, or what did you learn about? Again, there's 100 different hobbies out there. You could have gone to a foreign country and more than just food or music, learned about architecture or weaponology or war, or you could have went to a country and learned about hairstyle. I mean, there's like 100 different things you could talk about. And there's women who go to France and they don't even bother to learn about fashion. They might have spent a lot of money, they might have had some fancy croissants, but when they went to France, they didn't even learn anything about fashion. And these women, they like to buy the clothes, but they don't know anything about fashion. So if you're just a guy out there and you're going to other countries to just date international women and just have a different experiences, and you might just want to go straight to brothels and hook up girls and that kind of stuff, if that's all you're interested in. But to me, it's there's different risks and pros and cons to all of it, but I think there's a lot more to be learned if you get to have genuine conversations and get to see different people's lifestyles and cultures and families, and get involved with that. So I think that's a wonderful thing. There's ways that you can go to different cultures that still speak English. You going to the UK, you going to Ireland, some of these Celtic countries like Denmark, they still speak English, maybe a different form of English, but most of them will understand English. Even some places like Sweden and Switzerland are still fairly, most of them are going to understand English fairly well. So you don't have to learn another language, but I think if you're willing to put in the effort, that could be a wonderful thing to do. They say the challenge is that you do not face at home. Yeah, there's going to be pros and cons to this. There's going to be different cultures. You're going to have to learn different rules. For example, if you're wanting to go to Asia like Japan, a lot of these guys want to go to Japan, and they think that everything is super free-minded and everybody's doing crazy things like on trains, if you know what I'm talking about. But Japan is very strict on rules and has lots of different cultural practices that sometimes are almost religious, but they don't speak of religion, but they do have, you know, different practices that are very important, just culturally significant, almost like rituals, but they're not, sometimes not necessarily religious. But that's a whole nother thing to learn about. That's a wonderful thing. Let's talk about their next point. They say foreign women are playing hotter than domestic women. There is some truth to this. Foreign women still have the culture and the expectation to keep themselves attractive for men in general, even if they're married. You know, women, as they get older, of course they become less attractive, and they're probably not going to put as much effort. Even, let's be honest, even foreign women, once they get married to you, they're still going to put in less effort to keep themselves fit and attractive, but they're going to be put in much more effort than they would have than you know, Western women. Western women these days are infatuated with fat acceptance and beauty at any age and any size, and they don't care about what men think. They openly tell you that they don't care about what you think. They openly mock you for your practices. Older women actively target older men and try to get them thrown out of their companies or out of work or targeted. If you are like even if you're 30 or 35 and you're trying to, you know, date somebody who's 20 or 25, which is pretty darn reasonable, they still see that as victimhood, and they want to get you thrown out of your corporation and a business, and they look for ways to get you fired. These women from foreign countries, you know, they want to keep themselves fit, and even, you know, I don't know what you believe about plastic surgeries and that kind of stuff, but some countries like Brazil have crazy amounts of, you know, injections and plastic surgeries and all of this stuff. So, you know, the women in foreign nations definitely want to compete, you know, for attractive men. Women in the West, again, you see it all the time. There's women out here in America and the West, and they can be 5 foot tall, they can be short, they can be overweight, they can be actually average or even unattractive women, and they're short and they're underweight and they're poor, and they can even be unhealthy. They can even have substance addictions, and they can be, you know, and they can even be single mothers and be a baby mama, and they can have all of these really bad qualities about them. They could even have a disease, and they still think that they deserve a man who's 6'4", wealthy, potential, and she's still going to fix him and still going to make him a better guy. And, you know, and she still has to, she thinks that she can still act rowdy and rebellious, and that she's the prize, and that, you know, this guy who's 6'4", a millionaire, dark, handsome, and mysterious, and she's still the prize. And these women are told that that's normal or even acceptable, and then when they get older and hit 30 and 35, you see all these women saying there's no good men around here and insulting everybody. And then they get into positions of power at colleges and corporations and business, and they become these extremely angry feminists. And this kind of stuff, it does not happen in foreign countries. They just don't tolerate it. And, you know, the men, they don't tolerate it. They don't accept it. They ignore these women. If a woman acts like that, almost nobody's dating them. Again, in America, we have such low expectations. Not only would most men still date, you know, if they'd still have some fun with these women, even if they're angry, bitter feminist and all this. A lot of men would even try to date, or even try to marry these single mothers with terrible attitudes. And again, we have this dynamic in the West where 60 to 70% of people in college attendees are women, and we're about to have this complete change where not only are men underpaid and being pushed and forced into more of trade jobs where they're seen as lower status and they're paid less. Now we're going to have 30 to 40% of the women, the population of women, who are now going to try to, you know, go for younger men who have potential or success, or even treat them like husband wives or wife husbands, where, you know, the women are going to expect the men to almost have a feminine role of taking care of the kids and cooking and cleaning and all of this, and the women are going to try to get younger and target younger and younger men. And this stuff is happening all across the world. But, you know, we're going to talk more about it in this video. But the only reason this stuff is allowed to happen in the West is because men are taught to have absolutely no expectations. They're taught to be subservient and weak, and also all of their responsibilities are stripped from them. Policemen provide the protection, or really, they're really a danger, but that's another video. The police take away, you know, so men seem like they take away all of their responsibilities and make them seem worthless. And people actively say that men are worthless because, you know, all the responsibilities and all the benefits of men are taken away. The firefighters, all these government jobs and positions, you know, all the benefits women can get from divorcing men, and all these health programs, and all this benefits, and all these taxes and things that are stripped and taken away from men to give all these programs and things to women, even if they're not married, and even if they don't care or have any obligations to men, they still get your benefits. They still get your money. You know, they don't have to marry you. They don't have to date you. Women don't even have to like you. They can openly hate you, and they still get all the tax benefits and all these, you know, all these programs off of your tax dollars. And then, and that's one reason they think that you're so expendable. And we have all this technology and all these corporations who bend over and, you know, serve these women, where they don't have to perform, they don't have requirements put upon them, they're not evaluated, they're not responsible to produce or maintain or innovate or create. You know, these women, they're essentially given free jobs and for fake jobs and free money, you know, just for being women in a lot of these corporations. They get to be members of HR departments and, you know, like little feminist organizations within businesses. Are we inclusive enough? And all these kinds of things that, you know, really don't do anything to benefit society or the companies at all. But let's continue. The next point they make is reason number 3: foreign women like dating older men. Now, this dynamic is very shocking and actually offensive to even some men who are brainwashed in these Western societies. Again, if you as a man are trying to build yourself up and become fairly successful, most men, even in good economies, even if, again, the West is failing, but even if you have a fairly good economy, a man doesn't start becoming really successful or wealthy until he's 30, 35, or even 40. Is when he actually starts becoming successful. And in the past, it was normal for 30, 35, 40-year-old men to date and or marry 18-year-old women, even younger. Now, that's a very, you know, divisive topic. I'm not suggesting what should be normal, what should not, or how we should change society. But, you know, foreign women, if you're 40 years old and you're a doctor, a lawyer, or you have, you know, you're very successful and making a lot of money, or sometimes you don't even have to be wealthy. You can just be doing pretty well for yourself. You could be in the trades. You could be making $75,000, and to a lot of these foreign women, $75,000, you know, is one of the best men, if not the most, would make you one of the wealthiest men, or maybe even the wealthiest men in her entire community. That's more money than her dad makes, maybe even her public leaders, her religious leaders, anybody. You might, with even $75,000, and that's kind of the money game. That I could make a whole video about that. But you going out there, you being a strong, confident man, again, especially if you're from the West, you're taller than average already. You know, you have really good qualities. At least most of you are taught to have fairly good qualities, and you're just a very attractive package to a lot of women outside of the USA. But you don't see it, and you don't know it, because you've just constantly been put down, and these women have crazy expectations, and they make excuses like, you know, it's in everybody's nature to want more and more and more. It's in everybody's nature, you know, nature to have higher and higher expectations. you know, it's one thing to want more in your life and to want to achieve goals and purposes, but you have to understand the dating market and what's available to you and what's reasonable. And also, of course, these women can never evaluate themselves and tell themselves, you know, figure out how attractive they are. If they date a 10 out of 10 man, if they get lucky enough to date somebody rich and famous and or sports star or something when they're 18 and attractive and put themselves out there, you know, to a you know, a sports star or a famous actor or somebody who's really wealthy, now they now assume that they are, you know, just as good. You know, I got to sleep with a 10 out of 10. I must be a 10 out of 10. And they're told they're perfect, so they assume that they're a 10 out of 10. And they don't have to compete. You see, they don't look at the women around them, and these women around them also have the same type of attitude where they act as if they don't have to compete, and they're just going to sit around and or try to date the wealthiest of men. In other foreign cultures, especially marriage-minded cultures, you know, these men tend to be, not everybody's loyal, but women these days now cheat more than men. If a man gets married, he has at least a 50% chance of being loyal. So once that, you know, a really wealthy, rich man or a successful man gets married, he's probably off the dating market, most likely. And so these women, especially in foreign countries, realize that there's a limited amount of successful men. You know, time is of the essence, and men have higher expectations. So if a woman in a foreign country doesn't get married by 25, even, you know, again, women who were old, weren't married by the age of 18 used to be called old maids, and people didn't even want to marry them. There's something wrong with a woman if she's not married by 18. There's something wrong, because she should have tons of suitors, and she should be, you know, pick the best of the best, and or whatever she wants. And again, in most 18-year-old women, again, social dynamics have changed. Feminism has destroyed, you know, our modern, well, our previous culture, and become more modern, where, you know, again, 18-year-old women, most men would want to date, have a relationship, and probably marry. If a young, even, I mean, she doesn't even have to be gorgeous. She could just be fairly attractive. She could, a woman could go on Instagram these days and post some modest pictures. She could go, if she wanted to, on Twitch or almost any of these social media places, and she could say that she's looking for a husband, and she would get tens, hundreds, and possibly thousands of messages from men in the West, in America, and all across the world who would be willing to offer her a $5,000 ring, a $10,000 wedding or more. Some men out there would be offering $10,000 rings and $50,000 weddings, and you know, an amazing honeymoon to, you know, Italy or France, or, you know, somewhere just amazing. That you know, and this woman can be poor and not, you know, not have that, not be well trained and not be that well educated. None of that really matters. Again, women, they act as if, Western women act as if it's disgusting that men want or expect, you know, a certain youthfulness or a certain beauty, when biology is real. After the age of 25, especially after the age of 30, women's, you know, fertility extremely decreases. And if a woman's trying to start having children at 30 or 35, the risk of having a child with deformities and problems and complications goes up the roof. And again, we have all this crazy modern medicine. If we didn't have this modern medicine and all this, these women at age 30 and 35 trying to have children, they'd be much more likely to have, you know, die from childbirth and all these kinds of things. And of course, women don't thank men for any of that. But anyways, back to dating foreign women. These women are going to be much more accepting. It's not going to be uncommon for you to date somebody who's 10 years younger, 20 years younger, maybe even more. If you are a successful man who takes care of yourself, you could even be 50. 50 years old, and you'd be surprised that you could still date a 20-year-old, somebody 30 years younger than you. Now, is that the most important thing in the world? Not necessarily, but you know, if you have the money and the time and you can do this, you know, men, you know, again, women out there act as if, you know, they should have all the fun that they want, and, you know, everybody should give them what they want. I mean, what about men? Well, I mean, what do men get? Well, are men getting a fair deal? Again, a lot of these older men, they don't even get on the internet. A lot of these men who are older, 50 or so, dating foreign women, they don't bother to argue on with these feminists on the internet. Why would they waste their time? Especially when these, if they're successful or and they own a business. Why waste your time? Especially when you can talk to and have all these good relationships with foreign women. So that's one reason. Again, some of you men don't believe that these guys exist, but they do exist out there. But you just don't talk to them or hear from them, because why should they get involved with them, or even you? Again, a lot of you men out there are feminists, and even if they tried to give you advice or help you, a lot of these men, especially if they're college educated men, they openly would probably try to report and expose these men. You know, a lot of these Western cultures and governments are wanting and want to, you know, target these men, because these governments are controlled and led by feminists, and you put yourself in a lot of danger if you know, put yourself out there like that. So the next point is, it's easier than traditional dating. Again, a lot of again, it depends on what you consider traditional. Is traditional courting and all of this. A lot of, they say feminism and political correctness have taken all the fun out of Western dating. That's very true. Again, this depends on what kind of person you're marrying and what culture. Again, you could find somebody who's very traditional with their family, and they could have lots of rules where there's the expectation of going to marriage, the like courtship culture. You could find that depending on where you go. But a lot of women are just very open. You know, it's casual. There's a lot of women don't expect you to be paying a lot of money or pay a lot, you know, for just a relationship or just for dating. It's seen as something that's beneficial towards both. You know, a lot of women act as if, you know, a woman dates a man, there's the assumption of victimhood or, you know, quote unquote beneficial dating, where these women want to get money and allowances and essentially be, you know, sugar babies, but they can decide if or when, or even say no to doing, you know, servicing or, you know, helping a man have any type of pleasure or experience. You know, these women in these foreign countries, you know, they don't have this type of attitude. A lot of the times, again, it depends on how traditional where you go is and how traditional or religious the women are. Well, a lot of them are just, you know, free-minded. They're going to be a lot more open to, you know, do things. Again, I haven't been to Iceland, but I've read that Iceland is extremely, you know, open, and, you know, Amsterdam is famous for it as well. You can go to some of these places, and these women are just going to be very open and flirtatious and carefree. The next point is marriages tend to last longer. Again, a lot of you modern men, I'm not promoting hookup culture. I think that if you want to be happy, I think marriages are the best way to go. But again, a lot of these Western countries, and depending on where you live and where you go, marriage is just far too risky. For you losing everything socially, and you losing all of your money, losing all of your assets, losing your life, your business and everything you've worked for, being thrown out of your culture, losing the kids. Marriage, if you are considering going foreign, be very careful, and it probably would be wise to just not bring her back to America, for you to actually just move to a foreign country, honestly. Because even if she has the best attitudes, every feminist in a 100-mile radius is going to want to change her mind and brainwash her, get her to even cheat on you or become bisexual or lesbian, and is just going to openly hate her and treat her with disdain. And this kind of stuff happens all the time. If you bring in a foreign traditional woman, not only are they going to be intimidated probably by her beauty, They're going to be angry that she's taking care of you, taking care of the kids. You know, these modern feminist women, when's the last time they baked a loaf of bread? They don't know how to bake a loaf of bread, and that's one of the most basic, simple things you can do. They've never baked a loaf of bread in their life, and these, you can go find a foreign woman and she'll bake you a loaf of bread every day. And again, this isn't just about food or whatever. This is about taking care of a family. Again, a man goes out there and he works and he provides, and he, you know, he sacrifices and he sweats and he bleeds and he can even die, and he protects the family. He teaches good values and all of this. And these women out here, you know, traditional women or real women from these foreign countries, they still know that they should be taking care of the men's physical needs with food and, you know, pleasure. And they should also be taking care of the kids' needs. You know, a lot of these modern feminist women, even if you marry them, and even if they pretend to be family oriented, they don't really take care of the kids. There's crazy experiences where women like leave kids in hot cars and they die, or women who are bipolar in these Western countries and they have all these issues, and you know, your kids are in danger, your life is in danger, and physically in all kinds of ways. It's like these Western women, they you know, they just don't care about you. And again, they talk about materialism and money and all this. Yeah, I mean, that's somewhat true, and that is a big part of it. That is one of the things that has taken away from that love and that experience. But again, a lot of it is just that women are taught to think about themselves and think of with this victimhood, with the mentality. It's both money and it's also mindset. You know, no matter how much you give to a Western woman, how much you love them, how much you sacrifice for them, in the back of their mind, they're always trying to figure out, how was I a victim? You know, when will I become a victim? And is there some kind of way that, you know, I am a victim or I'm not a victim? And they'll remember, you know, some experience that they didn't understand completely, or it's some if you ever made a joke that they never understood, or if you had like they made the argument, they created the argument, and that you didn't react the way, you know, that they wanted you to. They'll remember that, and that'll be their excuse and their motivator for them to, you know, for them to cheat or do something very wrong against you or your kids. And so women, you know, foreign women are more likely to be loyal to you. But again, you have to keep up confidence. There's pros and cons to this. You're going to have to keep up appearances. You are going to have to be masculine. A lot of Western men are not taught to be masculine. A lot of your voices do not sound masculine. A lot of you Western men don't know how to act masculine. And every single time you've stood up for yourself, or you've ever said no, or you've ever stepped away from a woman who was on a feminist tirade or something, you were made out to be a target. And even your male friends, I've had men around me in my social circle, and I didn't even fight. I didn't even say anything wrong to a feminist woman, but she simply wanted something from me. You know, she wanted to date me, or she felt like I wasn't, you know, paying attention to her body language, or she wasn't getting what she wanted, even from women that I had never dated, and I didn't even know their names. And these men would try to, you know, spy on me, and be little agents and little spies for these women. These are how whipped some of you guys are, that, you know, just to get on a woman's good side, or in her social circle, where you might be able to get to date, you know, a woman, her friend, or somebody that she knows, fight for breadcrumbs. You're willing to spy on other men and figure out information on them, and try to twist situations in the favor of, you know, what these women want. This is the kind of crazy, even sometimes even like a horror world, like a horror movie, the kind of things that Western men have to go through. But again, at least, you know, marriage is still highly risky, but at least these traditional foreign women are more likely to work with you, and more likely to, you know, at least more likely to be decent. It's still high risk. There's still a lot of crazy foreign women, and they're still you know, you still have to be careful. You can't just trust them. You still just can't fall in love. The next point they make is it's great to excuse a great excuse to travel. Yes, absolutely. You know, if you're uncomfortable with you know, telling people that you're dating internationally, you might be treated as the international playboy. And again, depending on who you are, what you are, a lot of you guys, that's what you want to do. A lot of you guys might want relationships. A lot of you guys might just want to, you don't even know what you want because you haven't even had a chance to date. You've never had a chance to date. You don't know if you want a long-term relationship, you know, relationships that last 6 months or a year. You don't know if you want to just be casual. You don't know if you want marriage. You don't even know what you want because you've never had a chance to actually even date because of this, you know, the crazy Western dating world, or if you can even call it dating, the feminist, you know, hellscape that is, you know, America and Western cultures. So it is a great opportunity to travel if you like to, you know, see natural landscapes and see beautiful things and experience new foods and cultures. You know, it's a whole package, and it can be nice. The next point is number 7. Foreign women are more interesting and less materialistic. Again, women all around the world have been influenced by feminism and materialism. So don't get the idea that foreign women are going to not be materialistic. A lot of them will be, especially in major cities. A lot of them still will be. And feminism has reached around the world. If you're going to a major city in a foreign country, there's still going to be feminists there, but they're going to be, they're probably going to be less materialistic and less likely to be a feminist. And this does have an interesting dynamic, and this is a very good point here with number 7. That women who, you know, are focused on material things are always focused on what they can get from men with money. They might, you know, improve their seduction ability to seduce. They might improve some of their social skills, but they really, you know, they see their value in the things that they own. They don't have to develop their personalities or their characters. A lot of women, you know, not only do men not put that expectation upon them for women, you know, that they have to be interesting, that they have to be well-spoken or well-educated. I mean, if you ask a woman about her ideas about philosophy, a lot of women and men too would probably just laugh at you in the West. If you're looking for a serious relationship or marriage or even dating, I mean, even dating, it would be nice to find somebody who is like-minded. You know, well, people in foreign countries, depending on where you go, they're probably not going to treat you like that. And the bigger point I'm making with this is that, so not only do men not put that expectation on themselves to improve themselves, to criticize themselves. Again, all these women think they're 10 out of 10s and they're perfect. Even when they're 30 or 35 and they're single mothers, and they don't put the expectation upon themselves to self-improve. When's the last time that you've ever seen an 18, 19, or 20-year-old and, you know, she said that, you know, I'm imperfect or I've made a mistake? These types of women can act, you know, commit crimes and openly commit crimes, and they literally tell police officers that you can't arrest me, or you're not going to put me in jail because that I'm pretty. Because pretty privilege really does exist. These women in foreign countries, you know, a lot of the time, again, don't get me wrong, they experience privileges that men can only imagine, or, you know, even in these traditional, you know, from women who are more traditional or these foreign countries, these women are still very privileged, but they're going to look at themselves, and an experience with a relationship is, you know, it's going to more of like understanding the other person. They're going to be a little bit more willing to understand you, a little bit more. It's, you know, things to them, it's going to be a little bit more fun to know who you are and to figure out who, you know, what kind of person you are. And don't get me wrong, some of these women are going to target you, and they are going to want to take, you know, you're like their lottery ticket. You know, a lot of these foreign women, they want to take your money and run. Some of them do, but again, at least they're going to attempt, or there are going to be at least some of them that are more decent. And these foreign women are going to be more invested in having conversations and getting to know you. Even if there's language barriers or cultural differences, they're still going to put in more effort to try to understand what kind of person you are, and what kind of personality you have, what's your likes and dislikes, and all these things, because it's fascinating to them. So this is great. Again, this is from internationallovescout.com. There's a lot for you to learn here. Again, I'm not a pickup artist channel. My channel is more about men's self-improvement and men avoiding marriage and being careful. But let's continue. I could make this into multiple videos, but let's continue on with this. We have a few other things to talk about. 20 reasons you should be dating foreign women. This is interesting. They say they're feminine. Of course, they're more feminine. They, again, in the West, we're obsessed with this idea that women are just as strong as men. Women are just as powerful as men. Women are just the same as men. In foreign countries, we understand that there's differences, but we work together and we complement each other. Women have certain qualities and certain benefits or certain advantages that men don't have, and men also have certain benefits and advantages or strengths and that the men have, and we both complement each other. With our strengths and our weaknesses, we work together and we come together. A lot of Western women don't see it this way, so they don't like to look pretty. A lot of Western women don't try to be dressed flirtatiously. They hate, again, with feminism, they hate women who have long hair and actively try to make themselves fit, or even skinny and work out. There's women who are naturally skinny out there. I don't know if you've seen them or talked to them, and they openly hide from social media now. These women openly, a lot of them are still on Instagram. I mean, sure, they're still on there for the clicks, but they don't go to, public spaces to have conversations. And a lot of them have almost been ran out of society. If you're a naturally skinny woman, and to me, some of them I find particularly attractive if, they're tall and they're kind of naturally skinny. These types of women have been acted like as if they're less desirable, and they've literally been ran out of society. They've been threatened, they've been criticized, because we have this fat acceptance movement, and where everybody is supposed to be, actually kind of overweight in the West. That's considered the norm. Of course, if you're an overweight man, they don't care about you. That this privilege or this attitude only applies to women. So again, if a woman has long hair and she's skinny and she's friendly and she's flirtatious, a lot of women openly would hate her, unless she's openly taking money from men, like she's a stripper or something. But let's talk about the next point. They stay in shape. Yes, overseas women acknowledge that it's important to stay fit or stay healthy. And we'll talk about that health a little bit later on too. But a lot of foreign women tend to work out. So if you like a little bit of muscle, or somebody who's a little bit more fit, or you like that shapeliness of the rear and all that stuff, you like that bubbly look. A lot of Western women, they simply don't have that. It's hard to find that. And a lot of Western men are so weak, and they're taught to be so pathetic, that I've seen men actually cower or seem intimidated by a woman, even if she has just a little bit of muscle. Even a little bit of muscle on a woman is intimidating to a lot of these Western men, because they're weak and they're frail and they're wearing skinny jeans. And a lot of these modern Western men, they don't even have any muscle. So, and these women, they're just intimidated, and they've been taught to be subservient. These women in foreign countries want to make themselves more attractive. So the next point is they're friendly. It really depends, but yeah, they tend to be more friendly and more open, more casual. If you go to a bar, foreign women, and if you travel, they'll actually talk to you, or you'll have better chances of women actually talking to you. If you go to a bar in America, even if you buy a girl a drink, she's probably not going to talk to you. or she's not, she's, you know, can easily dismiss you or easily reject you, or and all of that. She's just not open and friendly. The next point is they want a relationship. Again, it depends, but women are more likely to want a relationship and marriage and or kids. You know, again, a lot of foreign women, they don't have these crazy feminist expectations where, you know, we can't. Again, a lot of these feminist women are going to start looking to date or marry when they're 30. You know, there's something in the manosphere called the wall. After they get 30, you know, they start losing their looks. And that's already unfair to men. But again, imagine this. Women have had nothing but fun in the sun, you know, beach parties and yachts and dating around and flirting around with the Chads and Tyrones, as they say, or the rich, wealthy men, or they've been able to fly all across the world on other people's expenses. They have all these health care and all these benefits and all this free money and these luxurious foods, and all this stuff is thrown at women. Again, they act as if it's disgusting if men, you know, want to date for beauty or attractiveness or you know, for biological reasons, but they get all of these benefits, amazing benefits. I mean, you as a man can't imagine that you wake up in the morning and you have 1,000 new messages from men who are actively trying to flirt with you and date with you, and 100 messages from, you know, some people who are pretty attractive and pretty good options, and you probably have 10 messages from, you know, people who are probably pretty wealthy, or even a few famous people. You can't even imagine, you know, what these, you know, TikTok girls and these Instagram girls and these women of any influence, and if these women actually put themselves out there or even try just a little bit, you know, on these dating apps, you know, you can't even imagine. Again, if you don't believe me, I've encouraged men to make a Tinder profile that's a woman and find a picture on the internet somewhere of, you know, somebody randomly who's just average looking, and you'd be amazed that they'll get 100 messages in a week, maybe even a day, and you as a guy can be out there and, you know, you could, as an average looking guy, even if you have good qualities and you're friendly, even if you're holding a puppy or a cat or whatever, you might get 100 messages in a month if you're lucky. If you're lucky, you know, I used to mess around with some of these dating apps, and I'm a decent catch. I'm above average. I'm 6 foot tall. I'm well spoken. I have blue eyes. If you want to mix in race in there, white and all this, and confident, and as you can tell, I have a masculine voice and a masculine presence, and I got like you're gonna get like 20 likes or 20 messages and 20 connections in like a year, and on top of that, they're gonna be from women who are desperate or just trying to use you and manipulate you, or just playing games, or they're just really overweight and have bad personalities, etc., etc. So they say it's a, you know, they want a relationship. If you do want a relationship that actually works, that's actually friendly, where women actually want kids and they're actually probably going to take care of the kids, you don't want to date a Western woman. It's, you know, maybe again, and some people are going to get in the comment section and talk about, you know, that there's a few religious women here and there, and there's a few women of different cultures in America. Yeah, there's a few different cultures. You know, you might be able to go and to Florida and find a good Cuban woman, or and there's some different cultures here and there. But as far as, you know, as far as the West goes, you know, women don't want to have a relationship with actual kids and marriage. That's offensive to feminism. And they most certainly don't want to work with a guy and, you know, be a traditional household. So the next thing is they don't want Mr. Perfect. A lot of foreign women, you know, again, it depends. If they're looking for marriage, their expectations are probably a little bit higher. But overall, even if they're looking for marriage, their expectations are lower. If a woman is looking for casual relationships, foreign women have far lower expectations, because they're just looking for fun. They're looking to see if you're interesting, and they're just looking for fun. But a lot of people or women in the West, again, they want to continually date somebody better and better. They pick and choose. Johnny had perfect hair. And Andrew had the perfect eyes. Somebody out there, Samuel, he had the perfect chest, and Adam had the perfect, the chin. And they'll and as they date, they're constantly picking, just like the Sims dating games, and like a video game, they're morphing all of this. They're the highest expectations of the perfect body and the perfect mentality and perfectly wealthy, and then even if she was able to find this perfect guy, she still would think that she's the prize. That she still thinks that she's the prize, and she still wouldn't cook and clean. She might have a kid or two, but she still thinks that this guy has to be always completely loyal to her. And then she even thinks that she can go out there and cheat. These Western women literally have this type of attitude. Even if they found a perfect Superman out there, she still thinks that she can go out there and cheat and do whatever she wants. And, he better not mess up. He better not cheat. He better not make any type of mistake. And he better, give me exactly what I want every time, every way. And women can just walk out on anybody. So again, if you want more casual relationships, just fun, you're more likely to have it overseas. Because again, I told you that crazy experience where women pick and choose and want Superman, but they do that. Western women, even if they're not looking for marriage, this is just for dating. When they're dating, they're looking for a perfect quality or multiple perfect qualities out of you. They eagerly and just quickly dismiss you for any reason. And this is why people like John Likas out there tells modern men to have little to no conversation, or just avoid most conversational points. Because if she figures out, especially if she's a feminist, that if you have any type of almost any opinion that's normal is offensive to a feminist. Anything that they don't understand could be considered offensive to you. Most of these modern women, if they don't in the West, in America, if they don't understand something, if it's a joke, they can just assume that it's a sexist or ism or a phobe, or they'll just assume that you're a racist. These women are literally out there like this, and this is their culture and their modern religion. And these foreign women, they don't have this type of this mental disease of feminism. Or it's less likely to exist. Again, even if you're not the most attractive guy, they're willing to. Foreign women are more likely to, just want to have they're more likely to have a casual relationship with you. And even if they're looking for marriage, they tend to be less picky. Again, it's because they know that, time is fleeting. Their looks aren't going to last forever. You could go date somebody, who just came off the assembly line, as some people like to joke. Somebody who just graduated college. If you're a wealthy man who's traveling the world, or you're fairly successful, fairly good looking, and again, you don't even have to be the most attractive guy like me. 6 foot tall, you can go to a foreign country, and you being 6 foot tall, that makes you, really special. And these women realize that. When's the last time they ever saw a 6 foot guy? When's the last time they ever dated a 6 foot guy? When's the last time their friends ever heard about or ever saw a 6 foot guy? It's not very common in a lot of these countries. It depends. And they'll see that as a prize and see that as valuable. And again, they know that dating is a competition. Again, a lot of you men accept and are willing to date and women who are terrible, women with bad attitudes, really bad culture, really low quality, and you're just willing to accept the worst of the worst women. Foreign men don't accept these bad qualities and bad attributes. They'll just reject it. That's why I tell modern Western men, if you do want to change the West or make things better, you have to just start rejecting feminist women. if they're college educated, if they've been to college, it probably would be easier for you just to reject them. Ask them if they went to college and just reject them if they've been to college, you know, most likely. Again, you don't have to be that that harsh or, you know, that strict. You don't have to reject all college women, but you better have the expectation that, you know, you're probably going to have to reject 80% of them because they just have very, very bad attitudes. Again, these foreign women, they're going to be more accepting of you. They're also not going, even if they want money, they're not going to expect as much money. And you, as a Western man, probably can give them a better lifestyle than they've ever dreamed of. A better lifestyle than they've ever known, than they've ever seen. So you know, and of course, if you do go and date around the world and foreign women, they're going to be more accepting if you reject them. Now, if you're in a tight-knit community, and if you're sticking around for having a little job somewhere in a little community, and if you know, reject a woman, her dad or her brothers might not like you. You know, you don't want, they might be pretty defensive, depending on the culture and how traditional we're talking about. But a lot of the times, these women are just going to be more accepting if you reject them, you know. So you can get, you know, you as a man finally get to be a little bit more picky. Imagine, I mean, this is unimaginable to a lot of people in the West. And I've done this too. And this is when you start actually becoming more of a masculine man. That women start, you know, choosing you, but if they don't meet your expectations in looks or character or quality, you can just, you know, try to be friends with them. You can friend zone women, or you can just reject the women. And you're not doing this because of your ego. You're not doing this for a power dynamic or any crazy thing that the feminists would like to talk about. You're doing this because you have certain wants and certain needs and certain expectations. Again, women can have hundreds of expectations and demand the best of the best, think that they're 10s out of 10s, that they're the best women in the world. But you as a man, just rejecting an average looking or any woman, you know, for any reason, makes you a terribly bad guy in the West. How about you start being more picky and start saying no? You know, if a woman goes out there and picks you, you're probably higher value than her. But if you date foreign, you might be surprised that women, you know, who are amazingly attractive are going to go out there and pick you, and you might be able to even find even more attractive women than that. You know, don't just fall in love or go crazy or offer everything to a foreign woman just because she picks you or just because she likes you. But you might be impressed that, you know, women are going to be a little bit more forward. Even though they're more traditional, they're going to be a little bit more open to expressing their interest in you, and they're going to be even if they're far more attractive. It's impressive. It's amazing. They say they value you. Yes, they see your qualities and your sacrifices, and they're more willing to understand you. Again, with these materialistic Western women, they don't care to understand who you are or where you came from or your culture. These Western women in America, and again in some of these European countries, they don't care to understand, the struggles that you've been through, and the achievements that you've had, and the wonderful things you've done. And if you, like, for example, here it's showing a man give a woman a gift. You know, if you give a woman a roses or whatever, a lot of Western women, that might make them happy for 30 minutes or a day. That's not very much. They'll ask, like, what are you going to do for me today? Or what have you done for me recently? Or they're going to, these women get so spoiled. You spending thousands and thousands of dollars, for them. Even to travel to make an expensive shopping trip to France, where they can spend up and spend tens of thousands of dollars on fashion and clothes and things in France. You know, there's women, and some of these Western women, they've done that before, especially if they're really attractive. That a rich man has done that done that for them when they were 18, 19, 20. You know, some are really attractive, or maybe he wasn't even very attractive. You know, he was just really wealthy. You know, she did all that stuff. She did every position that guy wanted. She did all of that, and she got that all expenses paid, flight to France, fancy food, fancy clothes, everything. And so you think that you can, so she's going to look for something on top of that, something even bigger than that, something even better than that. She's going to be looking for the new experience, is what I'm trying to say. But these foreign women, you know, they don't think that they think as every experience is something different, because you are different. People are different. They don't look at just the physical thing that, like, you know, they had as like a checkbox that, you know, I've already had this type of wine before, or I've already had this, you know, been to this location or bought this item. You know, I've already done this before. They see a relationship or an experience as a little bit more personal. And again, this is unimaginable to a Western man, because women just don't value men. They value, you know, men's money and what they can give. And again, if they've already had roses before, or a fancy chocolate bar or whatever, I mean, you could give them a lot of things, and they've already had it before, been there, done that. You're boring. So, you know, you have to spend even more. you have to do even more. No second best. I think this is a very interesting point as well. They say when you're dating women from your own country, you've probably had to compromise for a lot. That's an understatement. Yeah, as a man, you have to compromise everything. You probably are going to have to, if you try to date, especially marry a Western woman, are going to have to, you know, do everything she wants, have the lifestyle that she wants, you know, make her friends and her family happy, and I mean, hundreds of expectations. And of course, you never get thanked. You never get thanked. You never are appreciated. You're never, you know, you don't get much of anything. They say, but instead of settling for a 5, why not aim for a 10? You know, when you date women from other countries, you don't have to compromise what you're looking for. Exactly. A lot of women are willing to work with you, and they understand that men have choices and men have availability and other women available to them. Modern Western women can't or won't accept that you reject them. If they think that these Western feminist women, they think even if they're 30 years old, that they can't imagine that you would reject them because they're not attractive enough. And don't get me wrong, people have argued about this over and over and over. I've seen some women out there who are 40, even 45 years old, and they're still attractive. But, you know, they're not as attractive as they used to be. You know, you as a man, you know, especially if you're looking for a family, especially if you want to have children, you want to date or find a relationship or have a marriage with a woman who's probably as young as possible. And that should be a social norm. That should be socially normal for, you know, and if a woman wants a family, she shouldn't be delaying marriage until she's 30 or 35, where she'd be lucky to have 1 or 2 children, or 3 if she's really lucky, with all this scientific advancement, and these children are at high risk of being less intelligent and having deformities and other complications. Women of foreign countries realize that there's supposed to be this dynamic where women essentially should marry as young as possible, and this is extremely taboo to talk about to some people. This should be considered extremely normal. Women should be trying to marry as early as possible, and there's these modern extremist modernists who want to make it illegal in some of these states, where you get you know, young women or even men can get married at 16 or 17 with the permission of a parent and a judge. They want to make that illegal, so you can only get married if you're 20. Some people have suggested that you can't even get married unless you're 23 or 25. After 25, a woman starts losing her looks, and her health starts going down. People don't understand biology and don't care about biology. Women making it so you could only get legally married at 25. Some people start developing gray hairs at 25. You're old at 25. Again, you're an adult. We won't get into the age and all that. In a lot of cultures and a lot of places and throughout history, you're considered an adult about as soon as you can reproduce. And that's how we used to address or talk about animals as well. That's still how a lot of scientists talk about animals. They've started to take that away as well, even from animals. But, us as humans, time is limited. And these women realize that they want to find, again, this is a cultural and societal type of expectation, but they want to find the best man as possible, especially if they want marriage or if they want kids. Because, the longer they wait, the women wait, the less attractive they become and the less likely they are to find, a good man. And that is a basic thing that fathers and mothers should be teaching their daughters and should be teaching this culture, because that's normal. That's how biology works. That's how society works. And there is again, men have to compete. Men have to, become wealthy and successful and, get social status and position, and they have to gain skills and talents, and they have to make themselves strong and all this stuff. But where's the competition from women? Women don't have to, in the West, there's no expectations on women. There's no competition. A woman can be lazy in the West, overweight, unattractive, short hair, and all of these things. She could wait till she's 30 or 35, and there's literally these women, these college-educated feminist women, who are just sitting back. They're not even trying. They have bad attitudes. They're not even friendly. And they literally sit back and say, "Where the good man at? There ain't no good men around here." And they literally sit around and play games and look for a man who's way more attractive than them, way out of their league. They want a man who's 6 foot, 6'2", 6'4", well-spoken, well-dressed, gentleman, or whatever, and with 100 big expectations, and the man's, again, got to be chivalrous and traditional, or and a mix of whatever she picks and chooses and wants. And there's no expectation on these women. Absolutely no expectation. What if men started coming out of here and openly talking about that, if I marry a Western woman, she's got to be 18, and we have to have 5 kids, and she's got to do this and this and that, and we're going to live here, and et cetera, et cetera. If men start, of course there's going to be pushback, but that's the kind of stuff that needs to be going on. Of course these feminists are going to flip out. Of course they're going to get angry. Of course they're going to write articles and be on the news and write their little blogs. But you as a man need to start doing this kind of stuff, because this is how you influence and change society. If young women, start paying attention and realize that all of their aunts and all of their older sisters and all these other women, they're 30 and 35 and they're really unhappy, and they have no kids, and they have cats and all these things. If you start talking about this, it's going to help expose this in the West, and hopefully we can have, they talk about the Great Reset, which they're already doing. They're already, destroying and taking and tearing apart our economies and our cultures and all this. Maybe you can have an actual reset where things become balanced or more normal in the West. Again, a lot of people have given up on the West, and I probably am going to end up dating foreign and moving to another country, but I still haven't given up. I still encourage people in the West to fix these things and to acknowledge these problems. And you talking about this stuff, again, probably will get you kicked out of your social circles. Maybe your dad, maybe your family, maybe people will think that you are a terrible, terrible person, that you say that men should be looking for 18-year-old women, or as young as legally possible, to marry and to have families with, and to, build something up with. And then you do not put these kids in public schools. You homeschool them, and you teach them real science, real biology, real facts, real finance, mathematics that's actually practical. and skills, and you teach these people actually to become leaders and help other people who are very, being very manipulated and taken advantage of in our society, making people very unhappy. And you're going to raise the next generation of leaders. That's the things we need. Let's talk about the next point here. Traditional. We've already talked about this quite a bit. Yes, a lot of foreign women are much more traditional. They're not going to care as much about their career. I just talked about that. They're not going to, they might still go for a college. They still might go for a degree. But if they meet the right man, they're probably going to have kids and marriage, or have that relationship. And they can still get their college degree online. I mean, again, a lot of these women who are just going off to college and having fun and doing these crazy things, you can still get a college degree online, and most college degrees are pathetic. They don't really actually teach you a skill. It actually would be much better if you actually sat down and did your own research and learned an actual skill and an ability and actually put that to work. Most colleges do not teach you. Again, some businesses, a lot of businesses still require college degrees, but that kind of culture is starting to go away. And we need to openly speak out against it, because these colleges have far too much power and influence on who gets hired, who doesn't get hired, who does get jobs and who doesn't get jobs, who's included, who's excluded, and of course the outcasting of traditional people, and people who are freedom-minded or quote-unquote conservative. Again, HR departments and even in colleges are taught to target traditional people, especially if you're, freedom-minded, especially if you support the Second Amendment, self-defense, especially if you are white. These HR departments, these social studies and social services, and all these people, sociology and psychology and all of it, they're being taught to target and eliminate you, literally eliminate you from society. They literally want to erase you out of society. And of course, they're not going to put you down in the history books as you developing all of this science and technology and all this innovation and all the wealth and all that you did, all the good that you did for the world. Even as you men, especially the white men, helped get us to this, the world of robotics. They're still not going to write you into the history books as something good. Or if that you were ever, you as a man in general, you can't do anything right. You're just a failure, aren't you? Let's continue. Age is irrelevant. I wouldn't say it's irrelevant, but it's less likely. Again, you men out there, you'd be amazed that you can date somebody 10, 20, even 30 years younger than you, and even have marriage. And again, if you are a man who's fairly successful, and especially if you're very successful and you're wise and you're well-spoken, especially if you can give a good impression with the father. And again, a lot of these cultures, especially Asian cultures, there is an expectation that you do provide some benefits and help out her family. That is very culturally significant. So you do need to be aware of that, especially with certain Asian cultures. But if you leave a very strong impression and you're like 55 or what, it doesn't even matter almost. Like, age is irrelevant. You could be 40, 45, 50, and he still might be not only accepting, this father might be excited to hand over his 18-year-old daughter, even younger, to marry you. And I'm not even going to get into polygamy and all that. That's a whole nother discussion for another day. But you'd be amazed at how men are actually given some status and actually some respect and a fair relationship. Again, a lot of people are going to think that's very unfair. But the women is about to be handed everything, given everything. I mean, imagine what a 50-year-old man can do and give and provide to a young woman and give her an amazing lifestyle. Again, Western women would act like that's slavery or that's unimaginable torture. But again, this isn't an arranged marriage. These women have a choice. The woman has a choice. And again, these Western women still do not recognize and will not recognize that a lot of these foreign women will choose and would choose you even if you're 35, 40, 45, 50, maybe even older. Would you know, a young woman would still choose to marry you and have kids. Again, I've talked to some of these college-educated feminist type women, and you know, again, I never dated these women 18 or younger. It's like I've never even done anything like that. But I've had conversations about, you know, how do men protect themselves, because women openly can lie and sometimes do lie about their age, and these women would not even acknowledge that young women are attracted to older men, or, you know, men who are not even old men necessarily, just men who are older than them, like even 25. That you know, a really young woman, she's not a child, she's a woman, would be attracted to even a 25-year-old guy. You know, they won't even acknowledge, they openly, you know, and these people think that they have little college degrees, or that they're in college and they think they understand. I've talked to some of these people also regarding history, and they know absolutely nothing about history, nothing. And they think that they are highly educated about history, and their number one objective is to talk about feminism and, you know, feminist talking points, and mix in their toxic modern religion into history. But they don't understand anything about what those people actually felt, their lifestyles, their actual beliefs. You know, they don't care to understand. But it would be a beautiful thing if you found, you know, somebody who actually had a similar culture or similar belief and was willing to work with you, and where, you know, you didn't have to essentially fight somebody. Even if this foreign woman didn't want to necessarily teach the kids that much, that gives you the opportunity as a wise man, as, you know, as a father and a teacher, to teach kids, you know, real information. You know, if you date or marry or have children with any of these feminist women, they are not only going to combat you teaching, you know, good wisdom and good information, they're actively going to teach their poisonous rhetoric, especially to these women. And even if a mother is not in the picture doing it, I've seen it from firsthand experience. There's feminist aunts and even grandmothers who will go out of their way to, you know, even get these women to promise, you know, imagine that your grandmother or your aunt takes your little daughter to the side and teaches her to think of herself as a victim, and makes her promise and swear that she will always be a feminist, or that she swears that she will not get married until she's 25 or older, and that she will, you know, always be a feminist. These feminists are openly targeting young women and young daughters, and this kind of stuff is going on in public schools as well. Imagine if you had the influence to raise a good daughter and to protect them and to keep them out of this Western society and out of these public schools. Imagine if you were able to do that. And imagine if you had a community where you were surrounded by people who actually had similar viewpoints than you, or even tolerated, you know, your viewpoints, you know, regarding homeschooling, and you actually teaching a culture or religion or whatever you care about, that you actually get to teach that to your own kids. A lot of people in the West want to steal your kids away, and they openly are targeting your kids. They're even targeting them so they're not straight. That's the kind of world we're living in. But let's continue on with this video. This is a big video. We are going to try to wrap up and get later. There's quite a bit more. I'm going to divide this again into two videos. I actually have two more two more complete things we're going to talk about. Now, let's talk about here that they're naturally beautiful. Yeah, they are more attractive. Fairy tale princesses, yeah. They are much more attractive. And a lot of the times your actors actually come from foreign countries. You know, you'd be amazed that some of these actors that are considered, you know, or actresses, I mean, who are considered some of the most beautiful women in the world, actually come from foreign countries, and they move to America because a lot of the time American women, they're just not that fantastical. I guess you could say fantastical. Cultured, yes. Foreign women are actually, you know, as much as these feminists would love to lie and act as if they're not educated, a lot of the time they are far more aware of history, their, you know, their own culture. A lot of Western women, they don't understand anything about America. They don't understand anything about the Constitution, our founding fathers, things that happen throughout, you know, culture, unless they're like an extreme modern leftist, and they might have paid attention to, you know, some of the racism or some of the bad things that happened to, you know, the Native Americans and stuff, you know. But these foreign women are actually, well, they're, you know, not only are they more well spoken than you would think, they actually understand, you know, international culture a little bit more. Again, Western women, they don't look to prove themselves or understand different cultures. I've told you, but I'll tell you again. I've talked to women who have traveled across the world, and they don't look to learn other cultures. They're looking for joy rides. They're looking for candy rides. They're looking for to jump from, you know, joystick to joystick, from man to man, and as they, you know, sleep and have fun all across the world, with you know, all expenses paid for fancy amazing food and luxury hotels and fancy cruises and all this kind of stuff. These type of women are not, Western women don't care to understand another culture's beliefs and you know, lifestyle and religion and rituals and tendencies and things that are significant to them. I mean, they can't even, I mean, they live in a world of delusion where they lie to themselves about all kinds of things. They most certainly don't look to understand other people outside of their own culture, or outside, you know, outside of their, you know, own experience. They have no introspection for even themselves, and they have no care to even put in any effort to understand other people. But wouldn't it be amazing if you found somebody from a foreign country and they actually liked America? It's amazing. I don't know if you've seen on the internet, but there's Japanese and some other people out there, and they actually like America more than Americans, or especially feminist Americans, that they actually like, than they like America. So you can actually go to Japan and find a woman who actually likes your country more than you know, than feminists actually like your own country. That's pretty amazing, isn't it? I think that's pretty fantastic. Naturally romantic. Yeah, when's the last time you've seen a Western or American woman, you know, try to flirt with you, write you a poem, write you a song, you know, actually flirt with you with how she spoke? These women can't flirt, or they don't care to flirt. They think that they shouldn't have to flirt. When's the last time you've met a woman who was flirtatious, or had the ability to flirt? And I'm not talking about being attractive. I'm not talking about taking clothes off or something. I'm talking about actually being able to speak or act, you know, in a, you know, sensual way, but that, you know, outside of, you know, anything that's you know, extracurricular, I guess you could say, in the bedroom. We're talking about, you know, women who can, it doesn't even have to be singing or writing songs. It doesn't even have to be writing poems. It can just be little gestures, little smiles, you know, how they speak, you know, little phrases, the teasing. When's the last time a woman teased you or joked with you? When's the last time a woman made a good-hearted joke that, you know, that actually shared that she understood or cared about you? Yeah. When's the last time you've ever seen that or heard that? I don't know if I've ever seen that from a Western woman in my entire life. And I am naturally a person who likes to tease, almost like with an Irish like old school Irish attitude. And I need that. And I'm dying for that, to find a woman who can tease and joke and be gentle. I'm not talking about hard sarcasm or somebody who's insulting or anything. I'm talking about being nice and gentle and teasing, or actually understanding you and actually being able to make good jokes, or you know, good comments, or compliment a man. When's the last time you've ever heard a woman compliment a man? I don't remember the last time I've ever heard a woman compliment a man. I can't remember it, because the women are playing this power dynamic game, and if you compliment somebody, that means that you're below them or beneath them or that you're weaker than them, and that women are playing this ego power trip kind of game all the time. Foreign women are much less likely to do this. Compassionate. Yeah, what if a woman actually listened to you, actually understood you? And again, all these women say, open up with your feelings, speak your truth. You know, why aren't you more emotional? But when men in the West do open up with their feelings, then they're seen as weak or pathetic, and then they're outcasted even more. What if a woman actually, you know, of course you still need to be confident. Of course you still need to be the leader. Of course you can't be crying every day as a man. But what if whenever you had a tough day, whenever you actually were stressed, or if you actually wanted to talk about your feelings, that a woman would actually sit down and actually listen to you, actually understand you, and not hold that against you. Again, you have to be very careful, because if you tell any woman or anybody anything personal, they just look to use that against you. They just do. They just try to use that against you, especially in the West. But imagine if a woman actually cared about your struggles, and what if she told you about her struggles and actually, you know, made herself a little bit vulnerable too. I mean, you can only dream of that in the West. In America, in the West, you can only imagine that. With passionate, again, a lot of Western women put little to no effort into the romance, into the fun of it all. You know, a lot of women in the West, they do little to nothing, and they don't have, there's no expectations upon them. Again, they're liberated, as they say, so they can, you know, go out there and they have the attitude of doing anything with anybody, you know, anytime, almost anywhere in the West. But again, they pick the most successful, and they pick the wealthiest, and they always have the highest expectations. But when they do those types of things, even though they're quote unquote liberated, and they have a high body count or a notch count, and they're fooling around with all these guys, especially at colleges and as they travel and all this, hot girl summer. But these women don't have to, the men don't expect anything of these women, and these women most certainly don't try to improve or learn any skills or learn any abilities. Now, some of these women out there are going to be like, well, I'm the best at this, or I'm the best at that. Well, maybe you can do something well, you know, that would please a man, if you know what I mean. Maybe you can, but do you know how to do this and this and that? And there's all kinds of things out there. In India, they you know, they have a book of like positions and all this. There's like 100 different things out there, and a lot of Western women, you know, especially if they're religious and all this, they think that a lot of certain things are extremely taboo, and they just won't do them. But if you go into foreign countries, these women are much more open to do more things, and they're actually going to put in more effort into actually doing things with you. Again, a lot of you men can only imagine of that. Can only imagine of things like that. So next thing, divorce isn't an option. Again, it depends on the culture and how traditional of a woman you find. So in some cultures, if a woman gets divorced, again, it depends on the culture. Again, we're talking about Eastern countries here. If you date a woman from a Western country, even if it's France or Italy or Britain or the UK or Scotland or Denmark or Finland, there's a lot of the times you are still going to lose everything as a man. You're still going to have to, you know, lose everything to the courts. She's going to steal the house and the car and the kids and everything else. But this is something different than that. This is about devoted, that they actually have the intention when they get married to be in there for the long haul. Western women, when they get married to you, they think not only is it easy for them to get a divorce, there's all these benefits. So there's an incentive, there's motivation to get divorced from you. Whenever a Western woman gets bored, even if she's married to you, if she just gets bored or annoyed or maybe you're not making getting a promotion enough. She wants a little bit more money, or maybe she wants a different lifestyle. Maybe she's found another guy, and she would like to, have the house or half or more of your assets. $50,000, $10,000. If you don't have a lot of money, whatever, that's still money in her pocket, and she can go and flip over to another guy. And again, in our society, a lot of men are ready and willing to date and or marry divorced women. There are famous women, actresses and the like, who are, even 30 years old, and they're divorced and they have bad attitudes and they've done bad things, and there are still men in the West who would eagerly date and or marry them. Eagerly. I as a 6-foot man, well-spoken, masculine frame, masculine voice, I have a lot of potential, and I'm still working on myself. I'm still becoming a success. I literally had an experience where an older man tried to convince me and tell me that I should date and or immediately try to marry a single mother who was still trying to date her ex. So she had been divorced, but she still wanted, I don't even think she was divorced. She just had went for this Chad, and she was a single mother, and she wasn't even married, but she wanted to marry this guy. So again, it works both ways. If she could be divorced, or she could be just wanting to get a guy, and that you as a man are supposed to step in there and what am I supposed to do? Like, take care of a kid that's not mine, essentially a bastard. And you as and this was me being a single, virgin, guy of potential, and in college with great character. And that's how little they think of you as a man. That is how little modern Western people think of a man. Again, somebody like me, 6 foot tall, blue eyes, well-spoken, confident, the best guy around. All the girls around me wanted me. And I was openly just rejecting or ignoring all the women around me. And then a man thinks it would be a good idea and tries to convince me to date, a single mother. And I don't even know what she looked like. And and imagine you go to a foreign country, and again, if you get married or in a serious relationship, that woman is going to have an attitude that she can't divorce you, because not only will her family disown her or look down upon her if she gets divorced, she doesn't expect, or in those countries might not get benefits from you. Again, you have to be careful. We'll have a video about that. America tries to penalize you, and if you do have a kid outside of the USA or divorced or any of this. But again, a lot of these countries are not going to punish you as much or near as much. A lot of the times the woman is not going to get anything from a divorce. In fact, she's going to lose you. She's going to lose that all that money in investment, and she's going to have to start again. And a lot of people in foreign countries simply will not date or will not marry a single mother who already has a kid. Why should you accept or date somebody? I mean, unless it's a rare situation where, the father passed away, she's a widow. But still, even if the woman is a widow, she should seriously consider giving that kid up for adoption if she wants to start a new life. A new life. And that's a hard thing to say, a hard discussion. That's a discussion. But if she wants to find a wealthy, affluent man who still wants a family, even if she gives that child up for adoption, she's still very lucky to get that guy. And this is the type of attitude that a lot of these countries and Asian women have, because why does a man have to choose a divorced single mother or something like this? He can go find, an 18-year-old or somebody who's younger and somebody who's more attractive. It's a competition. And men have that position to choose. Just like women have all kinds of choices and they can say yes or no. This is called equality. This is actual equality. This is actual fairness. But of course, feminists don't want fairness. Feminists don't care about equality. And they never really have. They actually are fighting against equality. Since when do men get a choice? Or do men have any position of affluence? That's fairness. So you as a man can only imagine, as they talk about a devoted Asian wife, that, you know, that she would be begging for you not to divorce her. She'd be like begging you. And she would work with you. Even if she would start making mistakes, or if she had done something wrong, let's say she cheated on you, or, I mean, that's an extreme example, but she would make, try to make things right. Or if something bad happened, or whatever the situation was, she would try to make things right. Western women would just toss you away. These women actually see you as something valuable, or as something important. That's all. I mean, you can only imagine that. The next point is great cooks. Again, modern women, feminist women don't care. Again, one reason they're so unhealthy is because they keep eating McDonald's and all of this junk. A lot of these women from foreign countries, they cook healthy food. They're going to have healthy children. One reason they look so beautiful is because they cook healthy food and they actually put in effort to cook healthy food. They know how to keep a man satisfied. And for some reason, these feminists think it's extremely taboo and something extremely wrong for women to, have to cook. I mean, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? That a woman takes care of you, and and they make fun of men just wanting a sandwich. Imagine if you actually wanted a well-cooked family meal that it took a whole hour to produce that meal. Again, you as a man are bringing home all the food, all the money, and you're providing and you're protecting, and all these benefits and all these things that women enjoy. But a man can't even ask for a home-cooked meal. A man can't even get a smile. A man can't even get a thank you, a little flirt, or, if he's in the mood, she can say no. She doesn't even have to do, if the man wants something, he has to go and put in extra effort. He has to, he still has to, do something special for this woman, for her just to put out. No. These women, a lot of these women, again, don't expect all women from foreign countries to want to cook for you. Again, feminism is infecting and poisoning the world, but you're more likely to find a good woman who can actually cook, for you. It'd be amazing, wouldn't it? It'd be very amazing if you did find that kind of woman. So the next point is experience the world. Yes, you get to travel and see and understand different cultures and people, and have more, have more information to kind of figure out who you are. That when you get to be in different places and see different things and see different lifestyles, you might actually find that, you want to live a different way, that you like a different lifestyle, or you like a different culture. And because there's all kinds of different cultures and lifestyles and attitudes all around the world, you might figure out that you want to move to a different country. I think it's important that you as a man go and figure out who you are and what you like. They talk about growth. Yeah, you get to develop as a person, as a character, and you also get to figure out if you are going to marry or you are going to date, you might actually, not only develop yourself as a character, but grow in your own. This isn't even about pickiness. You get to have preferences. If you as a man are going to devote your life, sacrifice everything, and put everything on the table and sacrifice everything for a woman, your life, your labor, your effort, you're going to raise up kids and have them be, your lineage, and, have that kind of dynasty type of attitude that a lot of these Asian countries have, where you're building up something for the generations, of people. Why not? Why is you as a man, why do you have to settle with just a woman in your own country, or with any old woman, and lower your expectations, you get to, you as a man get to travel and get to find somebody not only who you most are compatible with, but you're most attracted to, because you should be attracted to the people or to the person that you're going to date and or possibly have a long-term relationship or possibly even a marriage, if you do care about marriage. But again, I keep telling you guys, be very careful and very aware of your laws, because a lot of these women, even foreign women, they might just target you and take advantage of you. But this is a growing experience for you to learn and to develop and to figure out who you are and what you want to become and what you want to be. Next, we talk about lack of mental health issues. A lot of Western women, for some reason, celebrate being bipolar and being depressed, and they think it's normal, or they think it's cute, they think it's funny. They also don't think it's that serious that they need to fix it. A lot of people in the West, if there is a certain mental health condition, they think it's like normal or something that makes them special, quote unquote special. I once was around a guy who, he had ADHD or bipolar, and he had some mental stuff going on. I don't know everything. Anyways, this guy was not on pills, and he would not try to fix his own. He would not try to fix them. You could try to speak with him and try to work with him and try to help him for him to be be better able to communicate and be able to express themselves. And I even tried to almost be a psychologist and try to help this guy work through some of his issues, but he openly thought that was a part of his personality or part of his character, and he thought it was normal or good for him to have mental health issues. A lot of these women, they listen to music, and some of this music is also mixes in drugs where, women think it's normal to have health issues and to be taking drugs and experimental and go to parties and this kind of stuff. And this is one reason where you have to be really careful. Again, a lot of these, and some of this bipolar stuff comes from this inferiority complex where, again, women are put in all these positions of power and they're given all these privilege, but they've never earned it. They have no responsibility and no accountability. So at one point, at some point, they feel oppressed because they have less quote unquote options, because they've never had to fight, or really, they almost don't have a choice. Women, you're going to almost always be privileged, but they assume that is also victimhood. You see the power dynamic here? So then they have to lash out, and they possibly have to get angry or vengeful if they don't get exactly what they want, and then they act that out on you. And in some extreme examples, it's also the kids. Again, our news and all this stuff protects women in the West and does not, if you as a man ever did anything to kids or to a woman, they put it on national news. But there have been, just as many cases where women commit violence against the husband or the man, and the wife actually takes out the kids, does horrific things. And of course, they don't put that on the news. They don't. And oftentimes they get out of jail earlier, lesser jail sentences as well. So women are not being held accountable, and they're also not being trained or told, or there's not the expectation for women, to be healthy. And of course, they're taking all this birth control and this crazy stuff that messes with their bodies. They're taking all this, they're not able to work through problems and fix themselves. So they're all on depression pills and all this stuff that messes up their body and their hormones. And then they have this, their crazy power dynamics and all these feminist beliefs that that it's a religion or a poison, but it's really a poison for their minds. And then also, of course, they listen to all this modern strange music as well. So yeah, mental health issues for Western women is a big deal. It's very, very bad. And you'd be amazed at, that women in foreign countries, not only do they maybe not have the money to do these things, but they don't want to do these things maybe. So again, a woman can be completely dysfunctional, be on drugs and doing all this crazy stuff. But if you were to divorce that woman, for the safety of yourself or the safety of your kids, or that she's just not you know, she's just not a healthy person, you know, you as a man, you still lose everything. So, you know, you're more likely to be safe physically and other mentally healthy, and your kids if you date outside of the West. So loyalty, yeah, we talked about it. Again, women, again, it depends. Again, be careful out there. Some people are going to try to take advantage of you, but in general, foreign women have the expectation of loyalty. They want to make the relationship work. They want to make something, they're more likely to want to make something to work with you. You know, you are not only wealthy and probably much taller, and you're probably more attractive than anybody, you know, she can usually get. So you're quite the prize, but you're also more interesting. You know, you're more rare, you're more unusual. It would give her all kinds of bragging rights, give her all kinds of opportunities. Her kids would, for you and her kids would possibly have all kinds of potential benefits. So there's not a lot of motivation for her to not be loyal, unless she quickly just wants to run away with your money, and she still has a boyfriend and still, you know, is lying that she's, you know, she's not really single or something like that. There's motivations for her, even beside the money and the status and the kids. You know, a lot of people outside of the USA are taught to, you know, work on something, you know. And we're not talking about the unhealthy thing in the West where you're supposed to, quote unquote, work on a relationship and fix things that, you know, even if you argue and yell at each other, you're still supposed to work through a rough marriage or tough spots. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about loyalty where, you know, the woman isn't necessarily looking to replace you. Even if she comes across a man who might have even higher position or status or maybe even more money, these women, you know, when they do leave the house, they're going to shop. They're not going to bars and clubs. They're not actively looking to replace you, is what I'm saying. Modern Western women are actively going to clubs and parties and banquets and events where they can, you know, regularly meet affluential men, where she can replace you with a doctor or a lawyer or somebody of higher status, somebody who's more wealthy. She's actively looking to replace you. A lot of these women, you know, even if she could, you know, she's attractive enough to possibly meet, you know, or find somebody who's possibly even better than you. A lot of the times, she's not necessarily going to want to put in that effort or risk what she has with you, especially if she has a kid with you. Because again, if we had a real culture or a decent culture, once she has a kid with you, you know, not, you know, in the West, you know, you're stuck with her unless you want to lose your house and your assets, you know, in the West. But in other countries, she's in a way, she's stuck with you, and you're stuck with her. You're both stuck together. And again, outside of the USA and the West, if she does get a divorce, the very few men are going to want to marry her or have anything to do with her. She's of far lesser value. Her family's going to look down on her, and her family does not want to take the responsibility of providing for that child and taking care of that child if she does get a divorce. So she doesn't have all these benefits and this government and all these programs and all these things in these Western countries that shouldn't exist. And when feminism takes over, again, they fight for all these quote-unquote rights or quote-unquote benefits that really just make you as a man as obsolete or as optional and steals from you. You know, you as a man, and even in India, women in India, these feminists, some of them are feminist, and they're starting to take over the governments, and, you know, they start seeing men as just optional or just not needed. You know, they remove all the consequences of any wrong actions or anything wrong that women might do. And again, there has to be consequences. There has to be a balance. There has to be a give and take. And you as a man, if you do want to stay in the West, I mean, go ahead. If you want to date in the West, go ahead, do whatever you want. But you need to start speaking out, or at least have expectations. At least start saying no, or at least start rejecting. You don't have to be open about these beliefs, because if you do have any of these good beliefs, you're definitely going to be outcasted by a lot of people. You might get fired. You probably will get limited. You might not get promoted. But you at least need to start saying no, or rejecting or avoiding the dangers and the problems of some of these types of women. And again, maybe you need to keep your relationships also, secret or private as well. But I encourage you men out there to at least try to find decent women out there, and then build up, people of a good culture and a good mindset and who are actually healthy. Because if feminism and the United Nations and the World Economic Forum and all these types of people, if they get their way, they're going to destroy all families and cultures. And you need to become not only financially stable and powerful enough to influence your own a local economy, or have power in regards to a business, or some kind of product. You also need to be able to be an influence to protect yourself and your livelihood and your community and your society, and possibly even fight these types of people who are openly trying to tear apart, your economies and your lifestyles and your cultures and your religions and your families. These people hate your families, and they are targeting your families, and they most certainly don't like the idea, and they talk about it openly. They don't like the idea of you as a Western man going out there and, building up your own culture, your own beliefs, or building up, a traditional people or traditional lifestyles, or where lifestyles are encouraged or expressed. Again, it's very rare, and you're openly scoffed or mocked if you have more than 3 kids, or if you openly walk around as a husband and wife. Especially with kids in public, especially in a lot of these big cities. It's actually uncommon. It's actually rare for them to see, a man and a woman together in public, especially with kids. You can do that and people will openly gasp because it's so uncommon. They've never seen it. It's not normal. And especially if your kids are well behaved, that's going to leave an impression. And especially if your kids are more intelligent than normal, or your kids are even more intelligent than these adults in Western countries. They're more well spoken. They know more about history and logic, and they can cook and clean, defend themselves, and they have all these skills and abilities. You are really going to start changing the world. And that is the kind of dream that I have. And that's the kind of dream that I think you should have. So that's the end of my really big video. This is all from the heart. This is not a video that's been chopped and pieced together. This was one big rant, one big speech, and I think I think it was about 2 hours or something. Please like, comment, subscribe. Hit that video. Hit the like, the subscribe, and come back. I'm gonna be trying to put out these kinds of videos just about every single day. Let me know if I need to put out a lot more editing. Again, these have been more of like a podcast and more of like a and I do have some presentation. I do show some visuals, but I hope that this speech was meaningful. You younger men, you need to acknowledge your own potential, and you need to not only see your potential, but you need to be able to decide what kind of culture that you want, what kind of lifestyle that you want, and you also need to be able to demand for fairness and equality towards you. So not only do you reject marriage because of the unfair, legal laws that we keep talking about, where you are, literally going to have everything stolen from you. So you reject marriage, but you also need to start speaking out and actually talking about what you want. And if you men actually start going out there and talking about what you want and saying and changing culture and influencing people, and not being some of these like fake, neocons out here, neoconservatives and all this, you're actually out here talking about, real truth and real principles, and you're not even necessarily wanting to become famous. You know, and I'm not saying that you need to get on TikTok. You could. That might be a good way to do this. Or things like this. I'm saying that you just, you know, publicly around you or one way or another start expressing your own ideas. You younger men, I hope that I influence you. And again, this is a video for anybody and everybody. I've addressed older men in this video. You know, especially if you start, as you start to build yourself up and financially you know, available and powerful enough to start traveling once you get 35 and 40 and really start to, you know, where you can really start traveling and you really have a lot of money, you can really start, you know, possibly looking, you know, for that young woman and that wife and that life that you always wanted. And we also I'm addressing also the young guys and the guys in between, that you can also influence those around you. You can start saying no to the relationships that you don't want. Start saying no to the people who want to take from you. Start telling, you know, people that, you know, that you want smaller government and you don't want these programs that constantly steal from you, and these taxes and the ways that the governments invade and control and manipulate and destroy our economies and our lives, the thefts from, you know, inheritance taxes and all of these different things. I hope that you will open your mouth and actually start speaking, because if you're silent, then you lose. All that, you know, all that good men have to do for, you know, for evil to win, it's a famous quote, you know, for evil to win or succeed, all that you have to do, you know, for it's good men to be silent, or for you to essentially do nothing. If you do nothing, you know, evil essentially wins. So speak out at least and start living authentically, and start saying no to, again, all these feminist women. Start saying no to these types of women, because they don't love you. They most certainly don't care about you, and they most certainly are not going to work with you to build healthy, you know, productive families, and you know, you know, and they don't care about the economy and you know, decent people, safety and protection of the country, and you know, Second Amendment rights and all this. They don't give a darn about you or other people. So, but you care. You're the person who actually is loving. You're the person who actually cares about people, and that's what matters. So I'll wrap up this video. Again, please like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. I'll see you soon, everybody. Peace out. Have a beautiful day, and bye.